bit later. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Mr. Raimondo.
Present.
Mr. Goofy. Present. Mr. Kira.
Present.
Mr. Lucido.
Present.
Mr. Quinn.
Here.
Ms. Sanchez.
Present.
Mrs. Canipico. Mr. Singh. Mrs. Zarrell.
Present. Please rise for the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all members of the Board of Education and to the Bergen Record in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, 1975. I'd now like to turn the meeting over to our superintendent.
Thank you, Madam President. We are going to have our board meeting Wednesday in the new gym at 7 p.m. The cheerleaders won the national championship for their competition. So I asked the cheerleading advisor, and they really are very excited about it, if they would come and do a presentation. So they're going to do their cheer. I did inform the board that they didn't have to wear sneakers. They don't have to participate. They'll be there to watch. But I think it's exciting. The kids did a really great job. So we will stay down there. It'll start at 7 p.m. in the new gym. They'll do their routine, and then we'll just continue the board meeting there. I attended a assembly on kindness over at the Franklin School. Very impressive. The principal and the guidance counselor ran it. The kids were quite attentive. The sixth graders did a skit. Was extremely impressed with it, and I had the ability to talk a little bit to the kids, so I really enjoyed that. Tonight, I met with the curriculum committee meeting to go over the plan that we're putting in place to meet the challenges of Park. We have a short-term plan that is going to be implemented through June, and then in June I'll get the second part of the plan for all of next year. The priority from here till June and all of next year is extensive training of our math and language arts teachers grades 7 through 12, so that those Park scores are going to change. So we're really looking forward to it, and I think there'll be major positive changes, and the teachers are quite receptive. We're just about finishing up on the high school scheduling for the 2016-17 academic year. There has been some changes. The major change that's taking place is the sequence of science that's going to be offered at the high school. Before, now it was environmental science, biology, chemistry, and physics. Almost all districts in the county, it's biology, chemistry, physics, and environmental science is set aside for what used to be called physical science, for kids that are struggling, and you need that to help them. And so we've changed that. So incoming ninth graders will have the biology, chemistry, and physics. That's raising the expectation. We're also adding an accelerated math course starting with next year's 7th grade, 8th grade, which will increase more kids taking Algebra 1 in 8th grade. That's the push by the state for that to take place. And we are also putting in an honors program for the 8th grade language arts. Again, to raise the standards, to make it more academic orientated. So these are some good things that are taking place regarding that. On the agenda items under A1 through 8, those are all related to special education. Under administration, B1 are the fire drills and the security drills for the month. And you will note in Washington, we had a security drill. We did not have a fire drill. That got lost with the transfer from Dave Rowe into Frank Santoro. So we will add, whether it means anything or not, just to show in good faith, we'll have 2 fire drills in the month of March. And then we'll just put it in. It is what it is, but that took place. 8 high school students were suspended for the month of February. These business and board on C There's an addendum in ours. It's not in the one that you're following because it just got in today, but it will be in Wednesdays. But that will be the workshop on April 4th. I don't think you have it. If you look at C with all the workshops, yeah, because it was just done today. But the short-term plan is going to be on April 4th, which is a half day for the district, and we do a professional development. And on May 23rd, which is a half day for the district, and we do professional development. On April 4th, all of the math teachers will be going from grades 7 through 12, will be going to a full-day training by Northern Valley on PARC, Common Core pedagogy, and digital learning and assessment tools. Is it on there? Okay, that was added today. Then in May 23rd, there'll be a full-day workshop, but this time for the language arts teachers, grades 7 through 12. And that will give them a full orientation of what is taking place regarding PARC, expectations, delivery of instruction. That will be followed up all through 2016-17 with additional workshops that will be subject-orientated to dig in even more, to give the teachers more background, more training, to adjust their delivery of instruction for the kids so the kids can succeed. Field trip requests are down there. Ray will be talking about the preliminary budget in a few seconds, which deals with that part I don't deal with. Let me just see. Number 10 on page 6, which is an interesting one. We're doing it. I'm not going to say anything. We have to approve the Elementary and Secondary Education Accountability Action Plan, 2015 participant rate. So what that means, that if not enough of our students participated in the PARC last year, there's a percentage, it's 95%, we now have to submit a plan to the county to show them how we're going to improve that. I have a little problem with that, and the problem I have is the state is telling all the schools that they can't opt out. Parents can't opt out. And our answer, superintendents across the state, then what is the consequence? If you're saying they can't opt out and a parent wants to opt out their kid, what's the penalty? If you want to go to, make it up, Rutgers, and the parent says, well, my kid's not taking the SAT. And then Rutgers says, no problem, your kid's not being accepted, because that's one of the criteria we have. There's the consequence that you have to make a decision. There is no consequence. When we ask the county and the state, what is the consequence if they say no? They say encourage them more. So that's what we're up against. So we put a plan together. We'll be encouraging parents not to opt out. We'll be encouraging kids to take it. We'll be encouraging everybody to be good. So we put the plan in. So that went in. All right, the calendar is 2016-17, 17-18. I did tweak it a little bit. For 16-17, we originally put down that the teachers would start on Thursday, September 1st, and the kids would come in on September 2nd. What we're going to do now is the teachers will still start on September 1st. There will be no school on the 2nd, and the students and everybody will start the Tuesday after Labor Day on September 6th. In addition, I took out the primary day. So we will have school on primary day. This allows us to have graduation on Thursday, June 22nd, and everybody leaves on the 23rd. When we explain in the body, when we get this out in a couple of weeks, to the parents, staff, we have 3 snow days, because that was also asked to keep the 3 snow days in. If we don't use the snow days, the first day will be used to close on primary day. The second day will be the Friday before Memorial Day. The third day will be the Tuesday after Memorial Day. If we use them all, then we'll have the election. I am also going to talk to the mayor, seeing if there's any way maybe we can get these elections out of the school. If we could, then we could open election day, and then we could open primary day and not have an issue. It's hard, though. It's not the mayor's fault, because the county gives you a hard time on this. It's the County Board of Elections. But maybe we can get 1 or 2 more schools that maybe they could poll elsewhere. But that will be the calendar for 16-17 and 17-18. You got facility requests, and that is my report. Any questions? Yes, Steve?
Through the chair. And I know we've been dealing with these park issues since park came up, and there's no consequences for the student if they do opt out. We have to come up with the accountability plan. Are there any other consequences for the district depending on how many opt out?
Originally, the state indicated, which they backed off on, is that if the rate went below 95%, they would cut the state aid. They realized that they created a furor there, and so that no longer is a consequence. So at this particular time, there isn't. It does not mean that if the federal government sees rates, percentages that they're not happy with, the trickle-down situation. But right now, there isn't. What I've told each administrator to do to protect the district is if a parent opts out, they must come in and see the principal. The principal will encourage them to take the exam, saying that we did our job to say we want you to take it. And then if they still want to opt out, they sign a waiver saying that even though the administration recommended us to take it, we still decided not to. They sign, the administrator signs, and that's it.
Thank you.
Through Chair,
Yeah.
page 6, ID number 5.
Page 6? No, page.
Methusak Incorporated.
Where are you looking?
ID number 5.
Oh, ID?
The vendor.
The gym floor.
The gym floor.
Yeah.
What, we're paying that again, or is that something?
Ray?
Yeah, I'll go, let me go through.
When he goes on business, he'll tell you. Anyone else? Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you.
No, I can continue on the other business. Let me just skip 3 and 4 now because it relates to the budget. We'll get, move on to committees. And Mr. Garrett will give you the report and I'll give some information out. So starting with business report, item number 5 is the continuation of reviewing and canceling student account balances in the cafeteria account. Number 6 is change orders from the roofing projects for both elementary schools and the middle high school. So this was a culmination, you'll see on those reports, of different things, pluses and minuses. They both come out to be negative change orders. That's a decrease in money back to the district. 7, these are the auditors from our recent audit. Want these items approved in the board minutes. So even though some of them aren't over $40,000 is the bid threshold, we use other sources for bidding. EdData is one of them, Middlesex Regional, some quotations, but they wanted these vendors approved in minutes. So it is retroactive, but the gym floor is, yeah, we paid the money, but we got insurance reimbursement for it. So on our bill list, we kind of checked for that, but there's offsetting money for that. Number 8 is to approve Gene Car Architects to do the drawings and specs for the window replacement at Long and the auditorium renovations at the high school. Number 9 is to use the Valley Health System to provide the hepatitis B vaccinations. Number 11 is similar to 7, where we use Middlesex Regional Educational Services Commission, EdData. This is another one available to us. It's the Hunterdon County Educational Services Commission. So becoming a member is no cost to the district, but they give us another avenue to obtain bidding, where we don't put the bid for various services, trades, or whatever. So it's good for the district to belong to that. 12 is a continuation of, you heard me talk before about the energy audit that we're going through. We did the first phase, now we're going to be going out for proposals. The criteria gets a little more involved now, based state guidelines, so that'll be happening soon. And eventually, hopefully by May, the Buildings and Grounds Committee will be interviewing several energy savings companies to select one of them to start beginning to do their full-blown review and recommendations for what they can do in the school saving money through energy savings. 13, we belong to the New Jersey, Northeast Bergen County School Board Insurance Group, so this is a continuation. There's about 43 school districts in that plan, and they just look for every year to be a three-year renewal. Calendars and a regular facility request on 15, so that's all my stuff except for the budget, which we'll go back to the budget committee.
Through the chair. Just a quick question, the Valley Health System, is that the same group that we've been using in the past with hepatitis B, or we switched?
No, we switched.
Okay.
We were using the Bergen County Health Services, the Department of Health. They would charge us for training and also the vaccinations. We switched through the Nesbig Insurance Group. There's a service that's available to us to do online staff training videos, and one of them is the bloodborne pathogen program. It's at no cost to us. So we have all our staff trained, documented. However, we still have to do the vaccinations, and that will be a cost to what staff member wants to get the vaccinations or not.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, committee reports, budget.
Okay, we initially met on February 9th. Steve Quinn, myself, Sylvia Zottarelli, Mike Accomundo, Bert Ammerman, and Ray Karate. Budget's very difficult. Health benefits and salaries were increasing. We sat down, we had to balance this budget. It was very difficult to do that. Fortunately, none of the cuts are going to be made to affect the education, which is the last thing we were looking to do. So we were able to cut quite a bit. We had a second meeting, we made some additional cuts, went through the budget line by line, doing our best, again, to not affect the education of our students. Finally, we came up with a balanced budget. Ratables are down throughout the town. A lot of tax appeals, which is affecting our budget as well, which is going to affect the taxes. Mr. Karate is going to do an in-depth presentation on the budget, but I know this is a short synopsis of where we're at, but we're short quite a bit. We worked together. We looked not to hurt our students, and we were successful in doing that. So I just want to thank everybody that was on the committee. Hopefully on April 27th, we'll be able to adopt the budget. There'll be a presentation here that night. Hopefully you come down and take a look at it, and if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them. So thank you.
So I'll continue that and get into the action item that'll be on for Wednesday. So as Mr. Dirk said, it was a challenge. We're a little under $2 million over the state-imposed 2% cap. The state-imposed cap is on the tax levy, which is the majority of our revenues. That goes up 2%, but our budget overall, that effect on that is maybe like a 1.8% budget increase. So if you're not getting any new monies from the state, which is our next source of revenues, there's nothing else to get it from. The state, if you saw in the paper, increased our state aid. Everybody got a little bit more money. We actually got $24,916. Most of that aid was new aid entitled Professional Learning Community Aid. So they didn't, do anything else to other aids or kind of pretty much flat. Our state aid is about $647,000 less than what it was in 2007-2008 school year. Over those years, if you compare it to that level, we have not collected about $5 million in state aid over those years. But we're able to balance the budget, and we put it off doing more facility projects and other requests that were made by administrators. I'll give a more in-depth presentation at our meeting once we establish that. It'll be a public hearing adoption of the budget. We had some bank cap that's available to us. This is all spelled out. There was an extra sheet for the public, and the board was given. The resolution has to go to the county office. It gives all the total budget figures. In the middle bar, it talks about going over 2%, the use of this bank cap, which was some money we qualified for in previous years that we didn't use. We have 3 years to use that. It's available to exceed the 2% cap. And again, we'll go. Taxes will be over 2%. The other area, we are using some one-time revenues and surpluses and excess surplus to balance the budget, which we're going to be short next year because those are one-time revenues. So overall, using these figures, $140,000 in cap, we're about 2.2% 65% over, the tax levies increased calendar year 2.65%. However, as Mr. Girick said before, the township is having a very hard time with tax appeals. Last year, if you remember, our budget was like 2.34%, but with $25 million loss in ratables, that equated to a 3.71 tax levy increase. This year, the projection is $26 million in lost ratables. So our 2.65 is going to 4.06. The tax impact on the average house assessed at is the town assessment, not the where you can sell your house at. $295,000 would see an increase of $188 for the year. So this resolution, along with the full state budget documents, goes to the county office for review. Once that comes back, we will set the public hearing date next. They'll come back with any questions from me, and we have to clear them up. The last part of the resolution is for capital projects. We did a lot with the referendum. This is a capital reserve fund. It's nothing to do with taxes. It's money put into a reserve fund over the last several years, and some items we need to start addressing. We have two boilers at Smith School, the backup boilers from 1952, and we need to replace that one. The track, we don't have an exact date on it. It's about 10 to 12 years old. Is seeing some wear, and that's about the life of the track. So we need to renovate the track. They'll rip it all out, put a new track down. And there's bathrooms at Smith School that were part of a faculty room that was there. There was actually one bathroom, and they made a bathroom, this was years ago too, out of a closet. But now this room is needed for educational purposes, and faculty is going in and out of that room to use the bathroom. So we're trying to address that. So we have $782,000 that will be withdrawn from our $851,000 capital reserve fund. The board, so we have the three committee members and President Zaldarelli oversee the budget documents. The rest of the board members have a blue folder in front of you too. You can go over this at your leisure. On the left side is the budget comparison sheet showing last year's numbers. When we adopted the budget, I've highlighted some figures in tax levy, but I just went over. You can see those figures. The next three sheets on the left side show all the areas that were cut to get us from the 1.9, a little under $2 million amount over cap to a balanced budget. So you can review that as well. The detail of the budget is on the right side. It has every budget line with all the detail. So at your leisure, I said you can go through that, ask any questions of the committee, myself, Mr. Emmerman, and we're happy to answer that. We have about 2 minutes. So with that being said, if there's no questions on that, the next thing we'll do is to set, as item number 4, is to set a public hearing and adoption of the budget. It can't start before April 25th, which is a Monday. I selected Wednesday to go with our normal Wednesday meetings, to have a meeting here at the Media Center to do a public hearing and adoption of the budget. So if everybody's good with that date, we'll set it April 27th at 7 o'clock.
It's fine.
Everybody good with that?
Sure.
Good? Good? Yeah. Okay. I think I covered it.
Okay, thanks, Ray. I just would like to say, I think Ray does a stupendous job with our budget. Unless you've actually seen the budget and the whole process, you have no idea what this man does for us. And I think he should get props for that. That's all I'm going to say. You're welcome. Building and Grounds.
Buildings and Ground Committee did not meet this month due to timing of several issues. We'll be meeting next month. However, there are a few updates. Bids will be opened on April 1st for the high school auditorium renovations as part of the referendum. At Franklin School, there's been a concern with a walkway being part of the parking lot. The maintenance department will be installing bollards or pylons to make that safer and make sure the students are protected as they walk along the edge of that parking lot. Unfortunately, we had gotten a landscaping trailer from the town a few years ago, and that has broken an axle, so that will need to be replaced. They're looking at possible options at this point for how best to replace that. We will be meeting with Pontonian in April, discuss all issues that have arisen since we last met with them, which was in January. And there will be next week a meeting to discuss security camera placement, which again is part of the referendum money, increasing the security of our school system. And hopefully we will have updates on all of that for next month.
Thanks, Steve. Curriculum?
We had a meeting today. Mr. Nagito, Mrs. Sylvia Zarelli, Mr. Allen, Mr. Ferrati, were all present. I came a tad bit late. Our superintendent gave a detailed report in his report earlier. That's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you. Negotiations? Mom's not here.
We'll meet Wednesday night.
We're gonna meet this coming Wednesday night. Hopefully we'll have good news. Policy. Kim is not here. I know she was in the process of putting dates together for the policy committee to meet. She had a little setback. Her daughter's been ill. As of yet, we're good with policy. That's where it is. That's it under committee reports. Any correspondence?
Through the chair,
Yes.
Buildings and Grounds didn't meet with the town when you guys had the meeting?
We had a, no, it was,
That's
we went to
a
town, that's a liaison, that's a separate.
It was the last time we used to meet them, it was the town and the board Buildings and Grounds.
No, I've never.
Yeah,
We
we
met
switched that.
separately.
We switched to the town meeting. There's 2 board members that are township liaisons and the board president attended.
Oh, so Buildings and Grounds don't meet with them anymore?
Right.
No.
Right.
Anything else? Under old business? New business?
A new business through the chair.
Yes.
Just like to make an announcement. Tonight, the Board of Ed board members are wearing ribbons for a student that's in Smith School. It's unfortunate. She got diagnosed with leukemia. Orange represents leukemia awareness. The school district did a bunch of fundraising and asked people for donations, and they raised over $6,600 in a short period of time, which is very commendable. Also, there is a GoFundMe account on Facebook where you could also make a donation through there. But if you'd like to make a donation in any way, please refer to the Smith PTO for any type of donation. Brittany, her name is Brittany Francis. You know, she has a long fight ahead of her. We stand fully committed behind her, and we know that she's going to overcome this unfortunate disease. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Through the chair, new business. Saddlebrook Educational Foundation will be holding their 5K, their annual 5K. It's the second one. It's going to be April 23rd, Saturday. I have sponsorship forms. Anywhere between $50 and $1,000 sponsorships are available. So if anyone's interested, I'll have these after the meeting. Come see me. So we're anticipating a successful event. We have many of our members here tonight. So if you're not going to be able to sponsor, maybe you'd like to participate, at saddlebrook5k.com. It's $25 to participate. It's a run walk through Saddlebrook Park on Saddle River Road. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Any other new business?
The one item listed there, the New Jersey School Board training workshops. Mrs. Zarelli had me contact our New Jersey School Board rep to come up with some meeting dates to have some board training. These are the dates that our rep is available. Coincides with our board meetings on Monday or Wednesday. First one was May 11th. The trainings, he could do a couple different things. We'll finalize that as we get closer. About an hour. So if we could, if everybody's good with these dates, we can meet about 5 o'clock. That'll give us enough time, plus or minus, to get ready for the board meeting at 7. So if everybody's good for a 5 o'clock start, we can start setting these up.
It's May 11th.
May 11th will be the first one. Okay. We'll talk as we get closer. the workshop titles.
Any other new business? Okay, I'd like to open the meeting to the public. Residents are requested to state their names, address, and subject matter. In the event it appears the public comment portion of the meeting may exceed 45 minutes, the presiding officer may limit each statement made by a participant to 5 minutes duration. Issues raised by members of the public may or may not be responded to by the board. All comments will be considered and a response will be forthcoming if and when appropriate. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding students and employees of the board are discouraged and will not be responded to by the board. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. The board bears no responsibility, nor will it be liable for any comments made by members of the public. Members of the public should consider their comments in light of the legal rights of those affected or identified in their comments and be aware that they are legally responsible and liable for their comments. Now, can I have a motion to open the meeting to the public?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting's now open to the public.
Michael Kupo, 285 Washington Street. Question. Did I read that right, that you're dumping the idea of closing school election week?
No, I didn't say that.
Pardon?
I didn't say that.
So you're going to keep it open?
No, reframe your question again, Mr. Cooper.
Election week?
Yes.
You were talking about...
Closing. The whole week.
Yes.
Yeah, we're still closing.
You're closing it?
Yes.
Sir, there aren't any school districts that I looked at that are closed. Can you tell me anyone besides Saddle County or state that is closed election week?
Most likely none.
What?
Most likely none.
Okay. Do you have any idea what the demographics are of this town?
In what way?
In working parents, non-working parents?
No, I do not.
Maybe you should. Right. There was a survey put online, and out of 100 people that have answered that survey, 86% were in favor of keeping it open. And I think 14% were opposed. You mentioned when you were there last one of the meetings, that there's a spike of absences that week.
The question that was asked of me by one of the board members was, could there be a spike in absences if we were open on Monday and Wednesday? And I said there could be, but it wouldn't be a major impact.
Okay, so it wouldn't be a major.
I said that.
All right.
And Mr. Cooper, the survey that you referred, every board member has. Because I was going to, Mrs. Escobar was kind enough to send that to me this morning, and I wanted to make sure every board member had, but then I did find out that it had already been sent to every board member, so that was taken care of also.
You know, you made some comments at the meeting, and I quote, "We don't get much out of those 2 days." You also made a quote, you feel nothing has ever got done on all those days away. And that you alluded to the fact that the children do not learn that week, and also the teachers are not into it. Don't you think that's an administrative problem?
Basically, what I said that night, and always have believed, I know, and I reviewed it. What basically it takes place is if we had school on Election Day, which is Tuesday, you'd have 3 days in a row of continuous instruction. Then there would be a good positive flow of instruction. When you break a week up like that on a Monday and Wednesday, it becomes more difficult. And yes, it is an administrative issue. It would have to go around to make sure that instruction was taking place. I'm not saying that's not, but I did believe that in changing that, in closing that week, we would have a better chance of continuous delivery of instruction. So that's my opinion, and I stick to it.
Well, it's your opinion, I beg to differ.
And I respect that.
It's not right. I mean, what you're doing is doing something, you're trying to be a pioneer at Saddlewood's expense. And I'm very against it.
I respectfully disagree with you.
All right, you made another comment. Our district has a problem with delivery of instruction. What does that mean?
That means according with Park, but basically took place with the change of, when Park came into effect, the delivery of instruction to prepare for the Park test changed. And most districts got additional training over the years. What had happened here was our teachers did not get that training. It's not their fault. They should have gotten that training, and we have to try to improve that. That's what I went over tonight in my report to the board, in trying to make sure that teachers got that training, because if they get the right training with the delivery of instructions, the scores on the Park will improve and our students will be prepared.
Question. Before you finalize this calendar, closing election week, don't you have a mouse thing or something that you can call all the parents in the district? Survey those.
Survey Monkey.
Survey monkey, whatever. Monkey, elephant.
I agree with you on that, but go right ahead.
Why can't you do that before you close that week? I think it has to be closed. That's my opinion.
Let's keep it civil.
All right, so,
Thank you.
did you ever think of doing it? Using a monkey?
No,
Survey monkey?
not in this case.
Why?
Because that's an administrative decision, and I made that decision based on trying to improve the overall instructional environment in this district. And I think it's going to work. I think it should be tried. And if it doesn't work, which I don't think it will be a problem, then we always have the opportunity to change it next year, but I'm not resorting to a Survey Monkey for this.
I think you just don't want to hear what the people want.
No, that's not true.
And that's what it is, if you don't do it.
Okay.
All right, as a superintendent, you made comments to a member of the Smith School PTO president that were totally uncalled for. And I quote, "I would have expected nothing less, or the Smith School is not the center of the universe." Also, you said her post on social media was unnecessary, and the post was put up, was informative, just telling people what you are up to. And if you like, I made copies to show that it wasn't biased one way or another, just letting people know and what she was doing her job. And you felt that this was totally unnecessary. And I'd like to know why.
Well, I stand by that. I didn't believe at that particular point that that was necessary to go out. I don't take the position that it was just to be informative, but that's your opinion.
No, it's not our opinion. It's, all the people didn't know. And she tried to put it out there to inform people, and you criticized her for it. And you're watching social media now?
No. Let me be very clear on that. I don't watch social media. I don't get involved in social media. I don't get involved in Facebook, nor do I want to.
All right. Sir, I think you've been in education too long. When you forget that whenever a child goes to school, no matter which school, it is the center of the universe for that parent. And again, you referred to 2 women that accompanied her as assistants. In case you forget, those are taxpaying parents that pay your salary. And they deserve an apology for you.
What would you like me to say, Mr. Cupo? You made your comment. I heard it.
I think they deserve an apology from you. And when you pick them up, they don't need to be heckled.
Anything else?
What you do.
I hear your opinion.
The next question is for Madam President. May I ask why we are not looking for a permanent superintendent?
Who said we're not?
Extend another year.
We have to have coverage no matter what. The one position we cannot function without is a superintendent. If we find a superintendent tomorrow that we feel is a fit for us, we are at liberty to hire that person. We just have to have a plan in place in case that doesn't happen.
Okay. That's fair. We hired a search firm, right?
It's talked about, it hasn't been put in place yet.
When do you think it would be placed? To hire a search firm, that is.
Early beginning of next year.
Why would we wait so long? I'm asking. Why would we wait another year?
The applicants that we would be receiving would be the same applicants we received already. And there
With a
was
search
nothing
firm?
there.
With a search firm?
No.
If you hired a search firm, would they still be the same applicants?
The whole board wasn't in favor of hiring a search firm in the beginning.
Maybe they should.
Well, that was a
I
big
mean,
problem.
our school district, again, in no disrespect, needs a permanent superintendent for leadership.
We are all on that same page, Mr. Kuko. Nothing personal against Bert. We've told him this many times. Our goal is to get a permanent superintendent here as quickly as we possibly
Well, I
can,
think
but a good
waiting
one.
another year is not really.
Well, would you rather just hire someone that's gonna
No, I
not
didn't say
be
that.
good?
I said, why don't we get a search firm now and see what's out there before we go into another school year with an interim?
Point taken.
Thank you.
Hi, Angela Robinson, 94 Jim Lopez. Just a couple of things. One, regarding the closing of election day. I was on the board over 12 years, and the closing election day would be decided as a safety issue to do, and I get that 100%. I also agree with moving the elections out of the school, and I think we should try to do that a couple of years ago, but nothing ever really happened with that. I will say this, though, closing the whole week, I think, is a disruption in education. This is a presidential election, it's a big deal this year. Those days can be used for a lot of education about our political system, what's going on in the country, what's going on. This is a huge learning opportunity to be open those 2 days, before and after an election, to see what happens. I think that the parents in our school district pretty much work. And when the parents do respond to that survey saying that they want to be open, I believe any day, no matter disruption, I'm an educator too, and I think one day, sometimes, like the winter holiday or Christmas break falls when you come to school on a Monday, and then you're off the rest of the week. These are things that, they're still educational days. And I also think in November, we're really at a good point where kids are willing to work and are in a good place. So I'm asking if the board can reconsider that week off due to the parents of our town, our demographics. It's hard when parents work to get someone to watch their kids 3 days, but to get 5 days, that's even more of a burden on our parents and our school. It's just difficult. I know a few years back, it was proposed to close the February week instead of just the 2 days. And overwhelmingly, the parents came out and said, we can't do it, we work, we can't do it. And I really want the board to please reconsider this because of that decision. I understand, but I do think that 2 days in a very important election year for a presidential election is not a wasted educational days. But I do believe moving elections out of school is really, I think that should be a priority. I've been saying it for years. The other question I had is I saw that there were 2 calendars being voted on. I just was curious why, because I've never really heard of that before. So
No, 2 things. First of all, on this coming year, 16-17, because of the presidential election, the county strongly stated that they wanted the school closed on election, November 8th, not primary day. So that, I think almost everybody in the county is doing that because of the presidential election. When I presented the last work session last month to the board, I gave them two proposals. The one that's here now that you've seen is the one that I recommended, and there was a second calendar. When we went through the work session last month and talked about it, a couple of the board members stated that they could work with the calendar that's in front of you tonight if we added back. Excuse me?
You don't have a copy of it?
No, this was, I apologize.
Just so you know.
Okay, okay,
No, that's why we're asking.
I apologize. Is that when I showed it to the board, there was the second proposal was more towards the traditional. But when we were talking about it, a couple board members said if I could put back in the third snow day, the big issue was the third snow day, that they would be agreeable to the recommended contract that I was putting forth. The second part that came up was a couple board members called and were also concerned and had people express to them of bringing the students in on the day before the Labor Day weekend. And would I consider changing that, which I did. And so that's why based on those two requests, the board was supportive of the calendar that you saw tonight. But that took place at the last work session.
Okay, so your calendar right now is off that week of election weekend and teacher convention, which again, I think is personally, it's really in the best interest of our students or the parents in the district. I have no problem closing election day, but there is a presidential.
We have no choice.
We all do that. But I do believe those 2 days, a day before and after that election would be very educational for our children. But my question was, no, in the agenda, because we don't have copies of the calendar, it said there was a 2017-18 calendar also proposed.
Right.
Just curious as to why there would be 2 years done when, I don't know any school districts that really do.
Some do, but basically they do. If they can put it together, it just gives the parents and the staff plenty of time to plan, knowing full well the schedule's in place. Mr. Cooper, could you just please, I appreciate it, thank you, is that I could even recommend to the board, which is not a problem, just to do 1 year and hold off and see how it goes, and hold off the 17-18 to this time next year. I have no problem with that.
Only because, sometimes,
that makes sense.
The park, who knows what's gonna happen with the park and when that week is going to be, and, I remember 1 year we closed, even just the year before, and then the park, we had to change the calendar, so, to do 2 years in advance, I think is,
I have no problem recommending, Ms. Robinson, that we hold it just the 1 year and have that in abeyance and see what goes on.
because you don't know what's really going to.
Point well taken.
So again, just a request that the board please and Ms. Ammerly reconsider having that week off. I do believe those can be very, very good educational days before and after an election. And just on another note, Mr. Garrett talked about the 5K for the Southwick Educational Foundation, because that I will always be pushing all the time. So that's on April 23rd. We really would like everyone to come out and support us. All the funds that we raise go back directly to the district, and we're really trying to help out. We're going to have a Taste of the Towns also, which is something we've had in the past. We're going to have it on November 14th. So we're just really trying to let people know ahead of time so we can get participation, and we're grateful for the support that we've had over the years. It's really beneficial, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Alice Luminary, 27 Chelsea Drive. I guess my grievance would be with the Pomptonian, so I think this is for Mr. Carity. In the beginning of the school year, I have 3 kids in the district. I have 4 children total, so I'll have 4 in there next year. I tend to send lunch in with my kids. However, I'm a working mother, so there are days I cannot get to the grocery store, so I send lunch money in with them. In the beginning of the year, I started getting delinquents notices, and I'm like, my kids buy lunch 2-3 days a week. There's no way that this is happening. My daughter last week, so I attended the PTO meeting, which Sylvia was present for, and so was Brenda McCone, who is the director of Pomptonian. She was mauled by about 40 parents, so it was not a pleasant experience for anybody. I think the meeting went like 3 hours. It's crazy. Nothing really has changed. My daughter, who is 5 years old, Thursday of last week, came home starving because she was fed a cheese sandwich with a glass of skim milk because they told her that she had no money in her account. I have the account transaction sent to me by Brenda McCone. I send $3 in every day that they buy lunch in an envelope marked with their name on it and their grade and how much money is in the envelope. And to my knowledge, the lunch is only $2.70, which means after, 7-8 days, my kid should have lunch without me sending lunch money in. And so my daughter came home starving, so I emailed Brenda McCone. To which she forwarded me this, and I know that every day last week I gave my child $3. So I don't know if anybody watches Dateline 2020, but I've heard that Smith School is the only one with this issue. I know there was a woman that stole $11 million from students. She got caught last year. She's in jail right now. If you take $3 a day from 10 kids, that's $30 a day. That's $150 a week. That's $600 a month. That's a Mercedes payment. I mean, and it's cash. And then I posted this on the PTO Facebook, to which more than 30 parents commented on. They're having the same issues. My son only buys pizza on Friday, but his account is being debited on Wednesday. Now, as a business person, that looks like a great cover-up. Oh, let me take Sammy's money and charge it to somebody else's account. My daughter's current account balance is negative $21. She's 5. She was 15. I'd say, Sammy, are you buying cigarettes after school? But she's 5. So the idea that my 5-year-old is somewhere swirling this money and not handing it in, I think is, a little ludicrous. But nothing's been done, and I have no answers, and it's unbelievably frustrating because right now is my busy season, so I'm spending $45 a week on lunch, and all of my children's account balances are in the negative. And I also heard that there was no complaints about Pontonian also, and your name did come up in the Facebook feed and said that you guys were just rehiring them, so I don't know if there's any truth to that. I've never attended a board ed meeting, so I don't know if you want to answer me.
We take all the issues seriously. We are looking into it. I don't have an answer for you tonight. There were issues there's been issues off and on. Antonio always addresses them. Last year the board had us go out and review the proposal, because every 5. The contracts are once every year. They're a 1-year contract.
Now, question, why are we outsourcing? What happened? Now, I'm a product, actually, I went to school with farming. I'm a product of the Southbrook school system. I remember lunch being cooked in I graduated in 2003, so I'm not that old. I remember lunch being cooked in the cafeteria and it being delivered to each school. It was cooked by Mrs. Spitaleri, who was a, cafeteria mom. And I just want to know, why is it being outsourced if we have an industrial kitchen in Saddlebrook High School? And to my knowledge, I'm also one of 4. My mother has never had this issue before. And I just don't think that the money exchange is right for elementary school kids. Like, my 5-year-old, I don't trust her going in. I give her, that's why it's in a sealed envelope. Her going in and exchanging money with a third party. It's not like, it's Jennifer that's there and I know her and I'm not thinking she's stealing money from my kid. But when you bring in a third party and you're outsourcing, the trust issue is not there. If I wasn't at the bus stop, Mr. Butler isn't driving away. He let my kids sit on the bus until I came out. It's like, if you're outsourcing, people don't have a connection to us. So I just don't understand why it's being outsourced. I really don't know what the budget is and why we stopped doing it in the beginning. And then I also heard that there used to be lunch tickets. You could buy a book, which I would be 110% in favor for. If I bought a booklet, handed my ticket to my daughter and my sons, and they went in, and I don't think anybody's stealing their tickets for their lunch. I don't understand why we're giving this much freedom to children so young. That was one of the privileges of coming to the middle school, was now you get to buy lunch, you get a tray, you get to pick out what you're going to eat. It's a maturity thing. I hear parents, at that meeting were saying, my kid's charging 4 or 5 slices of pizza in one sitting. And that's the other thing too. Why are we allowing kids to charge to an account? We're living in a world that we're trillions of dollars in debt. They should be taught to spend cash. My kids know, if you do not have money for it, you are not allowed to get it. So don't ask somebody for it. I don't care how cute you are. They were giving it to them anyway. And that's how I ended up in a negative. Because they're charging them $1 for a Rice Krispie treat in September, and I didn't give money for a Rice Krispie treat in September, nor did I for the rest of the year. But they know now. I had to go through my children to address that. So I just think that the whole system is a little, I think sketchy is the wrong word, because I don't think it's sketchy, I just think it's poorly managed.
Okay, this is the 6th year Pontonian. Is it renewed every year? The state requirement is they can only renew for 5 years. And you have to go proposals. Back in 2010, prior, the district was subsidizing in the budget anywhere near $75,000 was coming out of the budget to support the food service operations. You just can't have that. You can't be supported by. We're $2 million in the hole. You can't be throwing more money at food service operation. So the board tried several times back then to bring the costs down. They couldn't, so they decided to outsource. Most districts, you won't find hardly any of that in our system. So Tony was awarded the contract. There was 2 companies back then in 2010. They got the approval, and then every year they're subject to a consumer price index, where it was out in the spring, or what they increased the contract to. So it falls within under that. You can renew with them. We sent paperwork to the state, no approvals, and they approved it. I mean, at any time, the board can go out for proposals. But usually it's done at that 5th year. I mean, you slow the process here. These companies, they're all state approved, about 15 or 16 of them. They know who what food service companies in each district. They, I guess it's like the waste removal industry. They know who's in the town. We put the proposals out twice in that short time, and nobody bid on it except for
Not so much, I'm not so much against outsourcing it, I was just curious as to why we outsource it. Now, what's the deal with the money exchange? Like, I remember going up and saying, buying lunch chocolate milk, and my teacher wrote it down, and the money went down to the office. So why are we now allowing kids that are, that you wouldn't hand money to and send them to 7-Eleven to buy a chocolate milk, allowing them to buy lunch and exchanging money with somebody they don't know?
What we're trying to cut out, and this is all, how Tony comes in and runs the food service operations. Give me suggestions on things or whatever, but collecting the money has always been the same. The work tickets back when teachers had to do that, collect this amount in the office turns them over to the cafeteria. We're trying to get as much as we can away from the teachers. They run an instructional part of the day.
Well, it doesn't have to be that. At the beginning of the month, on the 1st of every month, a parent should be able to buy a booklet of X amount of lunches, and you walk into the lunchroom with your ticket, and here's my ticket, I'm buying lunch. That's their money. It's the same thing. It's prepaid currency.
Yeah, it's just
and the idea that, well, I'll tell you, listen, I understand what you're saying, but when you're getting a negative bill and the child is being fed a cheese sandwich, who does not eat cheese? It's very unbelievably upsetting. She's 5. She's not speaking up to somebody saying, hey, I don't like that. And by the way, my mom gave me money and I handed it to somebody and now I'm eating a cheese sandwich. I mean, it's unbelievably upsetting. So to see your daughter cry on a Thursday afternoon, it was heartbreaking. She felt like she was being shamed. It's not jail. The idea that she was given it, and by the way, I emailed Brenda, and that day she emailed me, oh, by the way, your daughter's delinquent, in the same, and you're copied in on it, so I know you got it. And she sent me a delinquent notice dated March 4th, which was that Friday. So I now find out my daughter's delinquent after she's $21 delinquent. Like, there's no, once you hit $7, maybe a letter goes home, because I'm pretty sure I get a letter probably 3-4 days a week for a donation of some sort. So if I'm delinquent in some way, don't you think that it should be addressed sooner?
The 2 times that letters, the board adopted a policy that was recommended by our policy service company, actually by the state, to adopt a new policy for dealing with these negative balances. So the board approved it back in November, I think it was. But we had a lot of balances to clear up, because this policy, what it states is that the accounts in the negative, whatever we send home, then that's X amount of days, it's like a week.
But a letter was never sent home. I just want to clarify that. We've never got a letter, ever, ever, ever. None of my children. I have 3. So they failed 3 times.
So let me tell you what.
Okay.
So we tried to clean that up, and we said, okay, after the winter break, we'll send the letters out January. Because the new policy states, balances in the negative, there's so many days to pay it. If not, second notice is sent out. So many days to pay it, and then there's a meeting with the principal. Meantime, an alternate meal is this cheese sandwich.
So when is this going into effect? They're going to send the first and second.
We're trying to see the action for Wednesday, the second set of balances. We can roll through them to clear them up, because I don't want, because then the last part, which is about maybe a month's time, the principal, if there's no resolve, is calling the state division of child.
Yeah, so that's what I was told by Brenda Pacone, that DIFUS was going to be called on me if it was more than 10 days that my child charged lunch. So if I'm totally unaware of it and I'm sending money in, I'm gonna have DYFS show up at my house as though I'm some unfit mother because somebody is doing something that they're not supposed to be doing down in the lunchroom?
I will not do that. And that's why,
But this is what you're saying, so I just wanna know what the plan is, because I understand that this was supposed to be started back in January, and this is dated March 3rd, and my daughter's account balance is negative $20.85. It was negative 23, it was negative 21, it was negative 18, negative 14, negative 12, and I've never gotten a letter. So how many days does it take for a letter to go out?
because I'm trying to tell you when we did it. So after the break, we said this.
Yeah, I understand what you're trying to tell me, but my daughter ate a cheese sandwich on Thursday.
I understand that.
Okay, so if you guys can't get into place, you sending letters out, then the alternate lunch should not go into effect until you guys can get your stuff together. My child should not suffer because you guys are not, this is not a top priority for you. So that's it.
Well, I'm trying to talk, you just keep talking over me, so I don't know.
Okay, go, I'll let you talk.
So we sent 2 letters out, January, to try to clear up these balances, because I want to clear up before this policy goes into effect. I don't want to call the state on anybody. I want all children to eat. But the time they were sent out, I looked at a couple of accounts, they weren't in the negatives, you wouldn't get a letter. February sent out again, to clear up some more balances. And we're hoping by this month, we can start sending letters out and their true balances that people pay. The reason for the cheap sandwiches is the child goes home, is upset, and the parent will pay money. I mean, there's no other way to do it. That's why they put these policies in effect. I don't want it that way. We're trying to stretch as far as possible. I want all children to eat what they want to eat.
So
And
that's
David just brought this to my attention last week.
No, this was brought, I'm sorry, but this was supposed to be brought to your attention back in October, and even Sylvia was there, and I know Brenda went home practically in tears. There were people in this room that were there, and that woman went home in tears. It was not a good day. So you should have known about this, as this is under you. This falls on you, that this is not being taken care of. I mean, there's no other way about it. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that if you guys can't send out your letters for parents to know, why should my child have to suffer? That's not her fault, and that's not my fault. I mean, you could just stare. It's all right. This is why, I guess this is why people get angry at these things. My God, I don't know what else to say to you. I think it's run, I have 3 businesses, and if one of my businesses were run like this, I'd be out of business. This is done unbelievably poor. The money exchange for children, not the best idea. I hear Smith School is the only one with problems, which is why I think there's somebody skimming money off the top, because I'll tell you what, it's very easy to drop an envelope of cash every day. $30 a day, that's a full tank of gas. So I don't care if anybody gets upset that I'm accusing them of this. I don't care because they're a third party, so they're not even here. But I just think that something needs to be done about it, and I'm telling you now, I'm not paying this negative balance. I sent money in every single day, and I paid off the negative balance from last year, to which you guys had no proof that my kid even owed money. I paid more than $50 in negatives. So that was paid in the beginning, and now it's still negative. It's just totally listen, it stinks like a fish. That's it. It's a stinky situation, and I think that there's something funky going on. So I would, as the business person, I would look into it. That's all I'm saying.
There's also other ways to put money in the account.
Listen, no. See, that's a problem. Now there's other parents that have issues. You want me to take out my Facebook? I get charged on a Wednesday. My kid brought lunch in on Wednesday, which is a great way of saying, oh, let me take little Sammy's money and I'll put it on Johnny's account. They know these kids by now. There's something funky going on. And you know what? I shouldn't have to worry about $3 being stolen from my kid and then getting stuck with a cheese sandwich. Nobody's ever had to worry about that. There's never been an issue with lunch, as far as anybody that I've spoken to in the last 45 years of Salad Works history. And now in the last 6 years, there's more complaints about Pomptonian than anything, and majority of it is with the accounts. And so now I'm going to charge on a credit card, so now you guys have access to my bank account? Come on. I mean, you guys I'm losing cash daily. By my daughter, I'm losing $15 a week, easy. I mean, at least my sons, they're a little older, so they recognize it, but my daughter has no idea. So you can't say that there's other ways. How about just do it the right way? That's all.
Michael Kubo, 285 Washington Street. And what you just said is true. It's only in Smith School. Don't you think we could get someone there without them knowing about it and monitor it and see if someone is stealing? Because if it's just Smith School, there's gotta be something wrong. All the parents can't be wrong. I saw the post on Facebook, and I put a post on there, instead of complaining on Facebook, come here and let you hear all the complaints. But as you can see, there's not that many people here. And I was at that meeting that the lady from Antonia gave. She had no answers for anything. Oh, the state requires this, oh, I don't know, or she said she couldn't make any decision, answer any questions that were pointed to her. That's why it got almost hostile there. I remember correctly. So my suggestion is, if it's just this, let's do some undercover work. I will Sherlock Holmes or something. I'm serious though, and that sounds funny, but maybe we should do something. If it's just at school. Thank you.
Jennifer Lee, 400 Bayside Road. I had no intention of coming up here tonight, but I have a question about this park. Parents have the right to direct the upbringing of their education of their children under the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. So no, in New Jersey we don't have the right to opt out. We do, however, have the right to refuse under the Constitution of the United States. I don't know if the board members, if you all are aware of that. I'm just wondering if a parent doesn't come to this meeting that you're now requiring, which is really not okay, parents to come to with the principals, what happens then? Because I did refuse for my daughter last year for a number of reasons, mainly because this test, I don't believe in this test. I'm not anti any test. I have issues with PARCC. As an educator, as a parent of a child who has some special needs, I have problems with this test. So what if a parent doesn't show up for this meeting? Because from everything I'm reading on the Save Our School New Jersey site, school districts cannot require parents to come to a meeting because you do have the right to refuse per the Constitution.
Jen, what we would basically do is, I'm protecting the district, so in that particular case, the parent didn't come, we would so just jot, the parent didn't come, so if the county came and the state came and said, what did you do? I'm not disagreeing much.
Oh, I don't think any educator
But, well, I can't go that far. But I am not disagreeing with your premise. What we're doing is, if the state said or the county said, you didn't do enough, we can show here's what we did. And then you do with what you want. What I mean by that, to the county or state. We're asking the parents to come in so that we just have that documentation. The parents still would sign a waiver. Some parents will say, all right, maybe I will have them take the test. But if you refuse to come in and so forth, it would be just jot. You got it down, was so notified Ms. Wayne to come in. We didn't come in, child didn't take the test. And then whatever implementation is done during the park that's set up for kids that are not taking it would still be implemented. But that's just to protect the district, that we made an attempt to try to increase the participation.
Okay, so I guess that leads me to the next question, because last year I knew where Dr. Pratt stood with this. Children who are not taking it, because I haven't made my decision for this year yet, children who are refused for this test, what is the plan for them?
My guess, and I'd have to get back to you on that, but I think it'll be the same plan, whatever it was last year. I think it was that they, yes. They will not be in the test.
No.
That I would not, I would not allow that. Didn't allow that in my previous place either. That would not take place. So it would be set up but there would not be instruction taking place, but there would be a housing place for them while that test was taking place during that period.
Okay, and obviously we all know how I feel about this calendar. I just want to remind the board that 85% out of 100, that's a lot of voters. So just keep that in mind when you decide on what to do with this calendar. 85% out of 100 voters. And that was just in a mom's page. So you know that's times 2 probably, because usually households kind of go together. Keep that in mind.
Anyone else wishing to be heard? Seeing how there's none, motion to close the meeting?
Motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting is now closed. Thank you all for coming. Hope to see you Wednesday.